My boyfriend of 3 years was gaslighting me, accusing me of cheating while he was secretly on dating apps, calling me a hideous creature to other women. So, my best friend and my stunning cousin hatched a plan. For 4 months, my cousin became his dream girl, draining his bank account and his ego, all while I played the clueless girlfriend. He thought he was trading up. He had no idea he was funding his own spectacular destruction. The first 2 years of my relationship with Jake were, for the most part, deceptively normal. We fell into the easy, comfortable rhythm of a couple building a life together, a shared landscape of inside jokes, lazy Sunday mornings, and the quiet assumption of a shared future. We were, I thought, happy. The third year, however, was a slow and insidious descent into a private hell of psychological warfare. The man I loved, the man I trusted, began to transform into a stranger, a paranoid, jealous warden of my life. The shift was subtle at first. He started with my phone, casual glances over my shoulder that morphed into demands to see my texts. He began questioning my every move, my whereabouts becoming the subject of intense interrogations. A trip to the grocery store that took 15 minutes longer than he deemed appropriate was not just a delay, it was evidence of a clandestine meeting. A text from a male coworker about a work project was not a professional communication, it was proof of an affair. He began to wield humor as a weapon, making thinly veiled jokes about my supposed infidelity in front of our friends, jokes that always left a bitter taste in my mouth and a knot of anxiety in my stomach. When I would inevitably get upset, when I would protest my innocence, he would turn it back on me with chilling precision. I was overreacting. I was being too sensitive. And his favorite, the line that always managed to silence me: guilty people always get defensive. He was a master of gaslighting, an artist of emotional manipulation, and he was slowly, methodically, painting me as the villain in our story. The most agonizing part of it all was my unwavering fidelity. I had never, not for a single moment, been unfaithful to him. While he was busy constructing this elaborate fiction of my betrayal, I was pouring every ounce of my energy into being the perfect, loyal girlfriend, desperate to prove my love and earn back the trust he seemed to have lost for no reason. I was living in a constant state of defense, my every action scrutinized, my every word weighed for hidden meanings. I was a prisoner in my own life, and he was the one holding the key. The first crack in Jake's carefully constructed facade came not from me, but from Teresa. She has been my best friend since we were awkward teenagers navigating the treacherous halls of high school. She is more than a friend. She is the sister I chose, the keeper of my secrets, and the one person who could always see through Jake's charming exterior to the rot beneath. One evening, after another one of Jake's baseless accusations had left me in tears, she came over with a bottle of wine and a look of grim determination. I showed her the latest text exchange, a barrage of paranoid questions about my trip to the pharmacy. Teresa's face grew still, a strange, unreadable expression settling in her eyes. She then silently handed me her phone. On the screen was Jake's face, smiling out from a dating profile. It was active. His bio was a work of pure, unadulterated fiction, single and just looking for some no-strings fun. Teresa then confessed what she had been hiding for weeks. A friend of hers, a mutual acquaintance, had matched with him on the app. She had recognized him from my social media and had immediately sent a screenshot to Teresa. My best friend, in her infinite wisdom and loyalty, had not come to me immediately. She knew Jake would deny it, that he would twist it and somehow make it my fault. So, she had been quietly gathering her own intelligence, waiting for the right moment to present me with irrefutable proof. That night, fueled by cheap wine and righteous fury, we concocted a plan. It was simple, elegant, and deliciously devious. Teresa would create a fake profile, a digital honey trap, and see just how far he would be willing to go. It took less than an hour for him to match with her. He didn't even hesitate. The messages that followed were a vile, stomach-churning revelation. He told Chloe, Teresa's online alter ego, that he was single, that he was trying to extricate himself from a relationship with his psycho ex, me, who just wouldn't take the hint and let him go. When Teresa, as Chloe, pressed him on why he didn't just break up with me, his response was a masterclass in casual cruelty. She pays half the rent and does all the cooking and cleaning. Why would I give up that sweet deal until I have something better lined up? He then, in a staggering act of hubris, began sending her screenshots of his conversations with other women he was seeing. In these chats, he and these strangers would bond over their shared amusement at my expense. He called me a hideous creature, repulsive, and in one message that will forever be seared into my brain, he wrote, "I honestly almost gag when she tries to kiss me." One of the women responded, "You are a literal saint for putting up with that. I would have run for the hills ages ago." Jake's reply was a casual promise of my impending doom. "It's a complicated situation. But not for long. I promise." All of this, all of this vitriol and deceit, was happening while he was systematically dismantling my self-esteem, accusing me of the very sins he was so gleefully committing. While I was at home, trying to be the perfect partner, he was out in the world, painting me as a monster to a rotating cast of strangers. The initial, primal urge was to confront him immediately, to throw the printed-out screenshots in his face and watch him squirm. But Teresa, ever the strategist, convinced me that a simple confrontation was not enough. He didn't deserve an easy out. He deserved to be utterly, completely, and financially destroyed. For the next few weeks, I became an actress in the tragicomedy of my own life. I played the part of the devoted, slightly insecure girlfriend to perfection. I smiled when he kissed me goodbye in the morning, a Judas kiss that tasted like ash. I cooked his favorite meals, I did his laundry, I even managed to choke out an apology when he accused me of flirting with the pizza delivery guy. All the while, beneath the surface of my placid demeanor, I was a silent, simmering volcano of rage, meticulously plotting his demise. The evidence continued to pile up. He would come home late, the cloying scent of another woman's perfume clinging to his clothes. When I would casually mention it, he would fly into a rage, accusing me of being paranoid, of needing therapy for my insecurities. He suggested I was depressed, that I hadn't been myself lately. He was trying to convince me I was crazy, and the terrifying part was, without the proof on Teresa's phone, I might have started to believe him. The true key to his destruction, however, lay in our finances. We had a joint account for shared bills, but he also had a private savings account, a source of immense pride for him. He was constantly lecturing me about his financial discipline, about how he was diligently saving for our future. A quick and legally questionable glance at our joint bank statements revealed a pattern of large cash withdrawals on the nights he was supposedly working late. There were charges from expensive restaurants I had never been to, mysterious hotel bills, and purchases from high-end gift shops. He wasn't just cheating, he was funding his entire secret life with our money. That's when I knew. The way to truly hurt him wasn't just to expose his lies. It was to hit him where he was most vulnerable, his ego and his wallet. And I knew just the person to help me do it. My cousin Vicky. Everyone in our family had always commented on our resemblance. We had the same dark hair, the same eyes. But as my mother was fond of reminding me, Vicky was the upgraded version. She was taller, more statuesque, with the kind of effortless confidence that had made her a successful model in college. She was, in short, everything Jake would consider a trophy. And, most importantly, she owed me. I had helped her navigate a particularly nasty breakup the year before, and she had promised to repay the favor. No questions asked. I called an emergency summit. Me, Teresa, and Vicky. I laid out the entire, sordid story. Vicky was incandescent with rage on my behalf. "This isn't just cheating," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "This is emotional abuse." Teresa presented the mountain of evidence, and Vicky's face hardened. By the end of our 3-hour war council, the grief and hurt had burned away, leaving behind a cold, hard, diamond-like resolve. That night, as I watched Jake across the living room, his face illuminated by the glow of his phone, that familiar, smug little smirk playing on his lips, I felt no love, no sadness, only a chilling sense of purpose. He was probably texting another woman, another stranger to whom I was the psycho ex. But his reign of terror was about to come to a spectacular and very expensive end. Our plan, in retrospect, was a masterpiece of psychological and financial warfare, a multi-act play with a devastating finale. The first act was titled The Honey Trap, and Vicky was its reluctant but brilliant star. We knew from his incessant gym selfies that Jake was a creature of habit. Every Tuesday and Thursday, he would be at the downtown fitness club, a predictable peacock strutting for a new audience. Vicky, armed with a guest pass and a pair of leggings that could stop traffic, made her entrance. Her text to our group chat was simple and thrilling. "Target acquired. He's been staring since the moment I walked in." The rest of the scene played out exactly as we had scripted. An accidental bump near the water fountain, a shared laugh, a conversation about workout routines, and an exchange of numbers. By that evening, his first text had arrived. I sat on Vicky's couch, my stomach a churning sea of anxiety and excitement as we composed her replies. Teresa, our ever-present mission commander, provided a steady supply of wine and strategic advice. The plan was as simple as it was brutal. Vicky would become the woman of his dreams. She would let him wine her, dine her, and shower her with expensive gifts. She would get him so completely hooked, so financially and emotionally invested, that the eventual revelation of her true identity would be nothing short of soul-crushing. Meanwhile, I would continue my award-winning performance as the oblivious, long-suffering girlfriend. Their first date was 3 days later. Jake told me he had a mandatory work event. I kissed his lying face goodbye, wished him a good time, and then drove at slightly illegal speeds to Teresa's apartment, which had become our official command center. Vicky's text updates were a real-time feed of his hypocrisy. He took her to the most expensive restaurant in the city, a place I had been begging to go to for years. He bragged about his job, his investments, his bright future. He told her he was at the tail end of a dead-end relationship with a woman who just didn't understand him. Seeing the bathroom selfie Vicky sent us, of the two of them smiling, my boyfriend and my cousin, was a surreal and nauseating experience. But Teresa was right there, reminding me that every smile, every dollar he spent, was another nail in his coffin. Jake fell for Vicky, hard and fast. He became obsessed, canceling our plans at the last minute to see her, his excuses becoming more and more flimsy. The spending began in earnest. Vicky was a master manipulator, casually mentioning a piece of jewelry she admired as they passed a shop window, only to have him surprise her with it a few days later. She would then accidentally leave these gifts at his apartment, claiming she was afraid of losing them, before bringing them straight to me. My apartment began to fill with the spoils of our war: designer handbags, expensive perfumes, even a ludicrously expensive watch, all purchased with the money he was supposedly saving for our future. Vicky also perfected the art of the cash grab. She would let him book non-refundable weekend getaways on his credit card, then invent a last-minute emergency that required her to have cash. He, desperate to play the role of the generous provider, would hand it over without a second thought. That cash would then be Venmo'd directly to me and split 3 ways into our ever-growing revenge fund. We used his money to fund spa days, shopping sprees, and fancy dinners of our own. We even posted pictures on our private social media accounts, secure in the knowledge that he never bothered to look at my life anymore. The lies he told me became more audacious. A business conference in a beach town was a romantic getaway with Vicky. A sick mother was a weekend in wine country. All the while, he was confiding in Vicky about his horrible girlfriend. Vicky, a true soldier, would record their conversations, legal in our state, and send them to me. Hearing him call me a dead weight, and his Roomba that also pays rent, was a unique and exquisite form of torture. It was also the fuel that kept my rage burning hot. Around the 2-month mark, Vicky began to plant the seeds for our grand finale. She started talking about her dream vacation, a trip to a tropical paradise with overwater bungalows and $1,000-a-night price tags. Jake, predictable as ever, took the bait. He started researching resorts in Bora Bora, his obsession with Vicky now overriding any semblance of financial sense. It was during this time that we made our most damning discovery. He had been secretly transferring money from our joint account to his private savings to fund this double life. He had been stealing from me to woo my cousin. The game had changed. This was no longer just about a broken heart, it was about theft. As the 4th month of our operation began, Jake's financial situation was becoming precarious. He was selling his prized possessions, his vintage guitars, his grandfather's watch, to fund his fantasy life with Vicky, all while lecturing me about the need to cut back on our household expenses. Then, one night, in the shower, I found the proof of his utter desperation. He had taken out a $15,000 personal loan. While he was sinking deeper into a financial abyss of his own making, I was quietly building my escape route. I found a new apartment, started redirecting my mail, and opened a new, secret bank account. The strain of living a double life was immense, but the thought of the impending detonation kept me going. Then came the plot twist I never saw coming. One evening, Jake sat me down, his face a mask of solemnity. This was it, I thought. He was finally going to break up with me. I braced myself. But instead of ending things, he got down on one knee. He proposed. With a ring so small and pathetic it was almost an insult. He spun a tale of personal turmoil and rediscovery, of realizing that I was the one he wanted all along. I was speechless. Was he trying to lock me down before making a clean break with Vicky, or was this some twisted attempt at having his cake and eating it too? I knew I couldn't say no. It would end the game too soon. So, I did the only thing I could. I burst into tears and told him I needed time to think. He suggested I go stay with my parents for a few days to clear my head, a transparent attempt to get me out of the apartment, so he could have Vicky over. I packed a bag and went straight to Teresa's. The proposal had been a desperate, last-ditch effort, and we decided to use it to our advantage. While I strung him along, asking for more time, Vicky ramped up the pressure, becoming more demanding, more expensive. 10 days later, he called me, his voice strained. He needed to see me. He confessed that he was in serious financial trouble. He had maxed out his credit cards, taken out loans, and needed my help. He wanted me to take out a $25,000 loan in my name to consolidate his debt. It was, he said, a chance for us to prove we were a team. The sheer, unmitigated audacity of it was almost beautiful. He had created this mess by cheating on me, and now he wanted me to go into debt to clean it up. I told him I would think about it, a promise that bought us the final few weeks we needed. With the Bora Bora trip just 2 weeks away, Vicky played her final card. She told Jake she had gotten a bonus at work and could now pay for her half of the trip. But he needed to finalize the non-refundable bookings first. He scrambled, borrowed money from his brother, and secured their dream vacation. The trap was set. The final 12 days were a blur of adrenaline and anticipation. The night before their trip, I told Jake I was going to stay with Teresa for a few days to think. His relief was palpable. He hugged me goodbye, telling me he hoped I would have an answer for him when he got back from his business trip on Sunday. The next morning, we watched from the security camera feed as he left for the airport, a man walking blissfully toward his own execution. Teresa, Vicky, and I drove to the airport and set up surveillance from a coffee shop overlooking the check-in counters. At exactly 8:45 a.m., as he was approaching the counter, Vicky sent the text. It was a selfie of the three of us, our faces beaming, our middle fingers raised in a unified salute. The caption read, "Surprise, asshole. Hope you enjoy your $17,000 vacation for one. P.S. Your girlfriend knows everything." We watched as he read the message. The color drained from his face. He stumbled out of the line, slumping onto a bench, a man whose entire world had just been detonated by a single text message. He tried to call. We didn't answer. He spent the next 20 minutes in a frantic, futile cycle of calling and texting, his panic and despair a beautiful, silent film playing out before our eyes. We left him there, a pathetic figure in a crowded airport, completely and utterly alone. I had left a letter for him at the apartment, a detailed account of his betrayal, complete with printed screenshots of his most vile messages. The letter ended with a simple warning. Any attempt at contact would result in the entire evidence folder being sent to his family, his employer, and the internet at large. He is now, according to mutual acquaintances, working 2 dead-end jobs to pay off the mountain of debt he accumulated. He had to move back in with his parents, his credit is destroyed, and his reputation is in tatters. Last week, he showed up at my new apartment building at 3 in the morning, drunk and sobbing into the security camera, begging for a second chance. I watched the live feed from the comfort of my bed, sent the video to Teresa and Vicky so we could have a good laugh, and then called security to have him removed. I sleep very, very well at night, secure in the knowledge that he is suffering, and I am thriving. That, my friends, is the sweet, satisfying taste of karma.